Today we're going to be evaluating functions algebraically. So let's first go over function notation. Equations that represent functions are often written in function notation, and that's a way to name a function that's defined by an equation. So you're just replacing y with f of x. So instead of y equals 4x minus 1, we would write that f of x equals 4x minus 1. F of x means the function of f in terms of the variable x. We read it as f of x. This is not the multiplication of f times x, so don't get that confused. F is not a variable in this scenario. F is the name of the function. So f of x, is the output and x is the input. So f is the name, as I mentioned earlier, f is the name of the function, not a variable. Okay, identifying information from a table of values. So remember, these are the three representations you could see, but they all mean the same thing. So we're going to write the following as an ordered pair. We did this on yesterday's notes. The number inside the parentheses is your x value, or your input, and the number on the other side of the equal sign is the output, or your y value. That is f of x. So as an ordered pair, we would write -10, 2. In number 2, g of 3, so in this case, the name of the function is g. 3 is your input, 1 is your output. The ordered pair would be 3, 1. And number 3, we have h of 0. The function is h. The input is 0, and the output is 1. So your ordered pair is 0, 1. So let's use the table below to evaluate functions. So this is giving you the ordered pairs in a table where we have x as the input and f of x as the output. F of 3 equals, so we need to find where the input is 3. That would be here. When x is 3, f of x is 1. So when the input is 3, the output is 1. F of -2 would be 3. So think of a function like a machine that takes an x value and produces a y value. So this is where input and output we're gonna give you a little illustration for that. So f of x is the output of the function when the input is x. 3x plus 4 is going to be the rule that we use to evaluate the function. So think of it as a machine. So let's put in -2 as our input here. So I'm putting -2 into the machine where the rule is 3x plus 4. Here's my rule. So if -2 is x, I need to calculate 3 times -2 plus 4. And you can put that into your calculator and you would receive an output of -2. So what this means is that f of -2 equals -2. Let's try it with the same rule using -1 as our input. So we would put -1 in for x, 3 times -1 plus 4. Put that in your calculator, 3 times -1 plus 4, and the output would be 1. So f of -1 equals 1. So now let's put this into practice using different functions with different inputs. So we're going to evaluate the function for the given value. Remember that this is going to be our input, and we're going to put it right here, in the rule. So it says find f of -1. So I'm putting, f of -7. I'm putting -7 right here into the function. F of -7 would be 4 times -7 minus 1. Now, if you put that into your calculator, you'll get your answer, or we can do it by hand. I'm going to multiply 4 times -7. That gives me -28 minus 1. That's going to give me -29. So in function notation, f of -7 equals -29. Number 5, I highly recommend using your calculator for this one, but remember that we're always going to put the input in parentheses if you're using your calculator. So find f of 5. This is my input, and I'm putting it here and here in my rule. So that's my equation. I'm going to write that f of 5 equals -5 squared plus 6 times 5 minus 4. You can put this whole thing into your calculator, or we can do it by hand, but order of operations tells us to evaluate the exponent first, so I'm going to do 5 squared equals 25, and there's still a negative here because we haven't applied that yet. So -25, 6 times 5 is 30, minus 4. So -25 plus 30 is 5, minus 4. So that's going to be 1. So f of 5 equals 1. Again, you could have typed this whole thing into the calculator and gotten your answer that way. Just make sure you always put your x in parentheses, because when it is negative, if you don't do that, you're going to end up with the wrong answer. So it's a good habit to get into. Number 7, if f of x equals -3x plus 1, find f of 2. So now we're putting 2 into our equation right here. So we'll write that f of 2 equals -3 times 2 plus 1. You can put that whole thing in your calculator, or let's multiply using order of operations. We would multiply -3 times 2, that's -6 plus 1, which would be -5. So f of 2 equals -5. Number 8, if f of x equals x squared minus x, find f of -4. So we are putting our input of -4 here and here. F of -4 equals -4 squared minus -4. Put that into your calculator, or let's use order of operations. -4 squared is 16. Minus -4 would give you +4. which is 20. So f of negative 4 equals 20. So all we are doing is finding the input, putting it into the equation, and solving for the output.